Vanderlei Silva has been inserted in the Mike Tyson sweepstakes. And again, I know that I'm on third base wearing a catcher's mitt. I know that I'm out of place here. I'm well aware. But guys, for me, there's something there for both guys. If Vanderlei Silva's going and doing something, I'm watching. If Mike Tyson's going and doing something, I'm watching. If they're going to do it against each other, I mean, come on. I feel like this story just keeps getting a little bit better. This was discussed for bare knuckle boxing. Look, there is no truth, there is no relevance to this. There was no discussions or any meaningful negotiations between anybody involved. Mike Tyson, Vanderlei Silva, bare knuckle boxing. I understand, but there's still a conversation here of what if. And I think we're largely left with, and may even have to conclude this story in its finality, stuck at what if. So let's discuss a what if. What if Mike Tyson went out there with Vanderlei Silva? First off, before you get in the X's and O's of the fight, I really don't care about those too much, particularly when it's in bare knuckle boxing. That whole expression, anything can happen, that's usually a loser's way out. It's not really real in very many sports. Guys, I don't know if it's any more real in anything in life than it is in bare knuckle boxing. I mean, these guys have to step to a line. They got no gloves on. They only got a couple of options they can do. Right, you got a jab, a cross, a hook, an uppercut with no gloves on, with professional combat athletes. Anything can happen, but before you get into the X's and O's, I want to ask you one question. Would that interest you? Mike Tyson was going to fight Vanderlei, and it doesn't matter your level of interest. It doesn't matter, oh man, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 10. If your scale of 1 to 10 puts you at a viewer, it puts you as a buyer, and you only got to be at 5. And you know yourself, you got to be at 8 to buy. What is it you have to do? Are you at your buy number? For me, it's a little bit lower. If I got a 3, I'm in and I'm buying. But I'm just an aficionado. I like to see that stuff. I like to see it live. I don't like to read about it later. I don't want a friend texting me and ruin it. I just like to see that stuff. I'm at a 3. I would tell you, Mike Tyson versus Vanderlei for me, I'd be at a 7. I'd be at a 6, 7, but way above my buy limit. I would not want to miss that. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event. And if it's corny or silly or anywhere in between, I don't have a big problem with it. But you do then have to juxtapose that against how come Mike Tyson returning against an MMA fighter, Vanderlei Silva, who I think is the leader of the sweepstakes right now. Why would that be different than Conor versus Floyd? Now, why these aren't apples to apples here is still a very fair question, because while Conor and Floyd went off and why those numbers were greatly embellished, they were still remarkably successful. But that formula has never been duplicated. Why? And Dana spoke about this right after the fight happened. He went to the post-fight press conference. He said, guys, before you give us promoters, he's sitting up there with Espinoza. He says, before you give us promoters too much credit, in all fairness, every now and then, some things just come together. You got to go out and build fights, and you got to work hard to tell stories most of the time. Sometimes something just works and nobody can fully explain it. In quote, hard stop, but I accept his answer because that's spot on. That's just a good, honest truth of what happened. That fight just worked. Conor McGregor was compelling as hell. And he came out and convinced us that he thought he could beat Floyd. It doesn't matter if he convinced us he could beat Floyd. He convinced us he thought that he could beat Floyd. Well, you have to see that. Conor McGregor was a decorated 2-time world champion at that point who had just set the record for all of MMA. His previous fight was at Madison Square Garden, $17.2 million gate, live attendance. Became the first, the champ. This is a very real thing. He was red hot, and he said, forget it all. I'll walk away from it all. You can have it all back. Give me Floyd. That's interesting. That's just very interesting. He didn't talk about the money and the cash and all those things. He kept that quiet. That was behind the scenes, and he went to work. He started training, started putting out these videos. All of a sudden, you started going, man, this guy is a lot younger, and age does matter. He's a lot quicker, and he's a hell of a lot bigger. You start to make a case for yourself, not to mention he's a southpaw. Floyd had some problems with southpaw. Insert Zab Judah highlight videos. I mean, all of a sudden, something is created that was just there. The reason that hasn't been duplicated is nobody has been able to capture our minds that they are sincere in their beliefs. Conor captured our minds that he was sincere in his belief that he could go into boxing and take out the best ever. Everybody else who has come out, even Oscar De La Hoya, who deserves plenty of respect and credit in the boxing world, even he has not done a good job of making us believe that this is anything more than a cash grab. When Manny Pacquiao tried to insert himself in this conversation, He also made it very clear, hey, I saw the numbers you did. I heard you got $100 million. I'd like $100 million. I'm willing to go out there and do it. Well, no, we're out. You have to come in and make us believe from a competitive standpoint that you have what it takes, regardless of experience, defying all odds, regardless of the Queensberry rules, to cross over and win, not in compete and win. That is what Conor succeeded at. For Floyd to do next to nothing but go, yeah, kid, I'll give you a chance. I'm going to whip your ass, make you regret it, but I'll give you that chance. Floyd did his part. That was really all he had to do. Put out some training videos, make believe that he wasn't taking it serious, throw a couple of B-rolls of him going through McDonald's and getting himself a happy breakfast or whatever. That's all he had to do. That's what nobody else has been able to duplicate. Nobody has been able to come out and show their sincerity. And there's a number of ways to do that. They would have to be off color and they would have to be off cuff. And they say, look, I want that 100 million too, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 100,000 to show up. Take 99,900,000 should I win. That is how sincere I am in my belief that I'm going to win. Something along these lines. Now, I've got a hold of the right tool. I've got it by the wrong end. That's a little bit clumsy, but it has to be something along these lines. That is the one thing that Conor did that was different than everybody else. And these boxers who are trying to insert themselves in the Conor sweepstakes, De La Hoya comes out, says, I'll beat him within 2 rounds. Okay, great. Big claim, something Floyd couldn't do. You left the sport a long, long time ago, Oscar, but you still were a world champion and Olympic gold medalist. You should be able to get a guy out of there who's 0-1. But what are you willing to put up if you don't get him out of there in 2? The whole I can stop him in 2 rounds is very compelling. That's very interesting. But what are you willing to sacrifice if you don't? If you can't answer that question, then you're no different than everybody else that's thirsty. And the more thirsty you show you are, the less you're going to get to drink.